my least favorite is ML Carr. I couldn't stand that towel waving fuck, man. And ML Carr and I are great friends today. And I always let him know how I felt about him waving his little white towel out there and getting it going. And he got the crowd going. But you know what? That was part of basketball. And I always say everybody on the team has a role to play. If you're a bench warmer, whatever it is, there's still something that you can contribute to the team. And that was his. Playing against the Celtics was probably the greatest time of playing basketball. And see, a lot of my fans, Magic, he used to hate it, but I love playing in Boston Garden, the old Garden, where there was dead spots. I used to walk around with a ball and find the dead spots, so I knew not to dribble there, or I could force DJ or Bird there, but they knew it so well too, is that when they got to those spots, they pound the ball a little harder to make sure it came up. But playing in Boston, the fans were so knowledgeable. That was the one thing I appreciated. Although they got mean and nasty sometimes, they were still very knowledgeable fans. And they were fans that appreciated basketball. Danny Ainge was one of my favorite, least liked guys. Danny and I go back to at college where he played at BYU, and we had a scuffle back then, and he and I fought then. So we just took it to the pro game and we fought again. But, those are some fun times because every year, Boston was going to come out just the same way. The Boston was almost like a machine. You knew what you were going to get. And if you weren't ready for it, they were going to beat you. And you know what? I like to say more times than not, we were ready, but the times that they beat us, they got us good. And you know what? 1984 was a hard loss because the first time we were seeing them in a championship series. And all I could think about was watching my black and white TV and watching Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, and Wilt getting beat by Tommy Heinsohn's shot that he shoots it, the ball goes straight up over the backboard and comes all the way in. And that's when I always said, there is a leprechaun up there that's guiding the ball in for them. But Boston was real special time. It was a special kind of basketball. It was like Lakers were glitz and glamour. Boston was roll the sleeves up and hard, blue collar, hard worker. And you have to appreciate that kind of basketball. And I love every time we played against them. And I'm glad we won more than we lost.
I mean, Coop, some people think it's the greatest rivalry of all time in any sport, or at least one of the top 3 or 4 in any sport is that Celtics-Lakers rivalry, especially back in the 80s because it was so fierce and there's so many legends and icons that played in that, and both teams won multiple championships during that time. So to know that you're always going to be a part of, arguably the greatest rivalry, one of the greatest rivalries of all time, and also one of the greatest dynasties of all time. So that's got to be something that you can always hang your hat on and think, besides your personal accolades, which are a lot, but, you'll always be a part of that. And you were you guys, the Lakers and Celtics were trendsetters. After that, now, then it became in the 90s, you had the Bulls. Of course, you had the Bulls were rivals with the Knicks and teams that never won championships, but there was a lot of those little rivalries. But you guys really were the one that met in the finals every year. And, we haven't really seen anything like that since. I mean, you had the Cavs, Warriors, and I'm from Cleveland, but that wasn't really much of a rivalry just because Durant went there and then the Warriors smoked us a couple of years. But you guys really, you never knew who was going to win every time you guys faced. It could go 7, it could go either way. So that had to be fun as a player.
And it was game to game. You really didn't have home court advantage because the championship teams can win on the road or at home. It didn't matter. And I think that's what both of us provided, is that both of us were champions. And, so what, we're playing at the Forum. It's the only difference is the crowd is rooting for us. They're not against us. So we could have played at a neutral place. It would have been the same thing. So even at the Boston Garden, there were some Laker fans there. And at the Fabulous Forum, there was some Boston Celtics fans. So as you say, it was a great rivalry. And of all the things that I'm very, very appreciative of and proud of is being part of that whole atmosphere and part of that great rivalry, because it still lives on today. And people now, as we get older, can really appreciate the way we play. When you watch basketball today, there's never 3-point shooting. Back then, championships were won in the paint. And that's where the ball went.